Hi, this is County Executive Mark Molinaro. Thank you for joining us this evening for our free telephone town hall. This is an event we hold every year. Earlier today, I released my proposed 2020 executive budget for the Dutchess County Legislature to consider. Tonight, we're calling thousands of residents across Dutchess County to participate in this telephone town hall. If you have a question this evening, hit *3 on your phone. That's *3, and we'll get you into the queue to ask a question. We'd love to get to as many questions as possible. But again, we're calling thousands of your neighbors across the county to talk a little bit about my proposed budget. So let me give you at least some of the basics. This proposed budget provides the 6th consecutive property tax levy reduction. In fact, if adopted, we will deliver the largest property tax cut in 20 years. With that, we also propose a 5% reduction in the county's tax rate. That's the largest tax rate reduction since 2008. Now, the spending plan holds to a 1.4% growth over the 2019 spending. And with that, we have been able to direct resources to address some significant interests and concerns across the county. Let me mention that we were able to really hold the line on spending this year thanks to our ability to achieve significant savings in health insurance premiums for county employees, along with savings at the county jail as it relates to criminal justice reforms that the state has adopted. That together provides us about $6 million in savings. Is that about right? That we've been able to apply to other services like investment in infrastructure, $29 million to replace highways, roads, and bridges, an expansion of our services in response to the opioid epidemic, along with increased services for those living with developmental and intellectual disabilities. Additionally, this budget continues our commitment to respond to climate change and our efforts to reduce carbon emissions here in the county. And a whole host of other services, of course, core services that you expect from Dutchess County government. So again, we're calling thousands of people across Dutchess County. You're on the line with several thousand as we speak. This is our annual telephone town hall. This is County Executive Mark Molinaro. If you have a question, hit *3, and we'll be happy to take your call. We're going to go first to Ken from Stormville. Give us 1 second. Ken, if you have a question, go right ahead. Ken, are you on the line with us? We'll wait for Ken to get on the line. Just make sure we've clicked it appropriately. And I don't hear Ken. So you're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. If you have a question, hit *3. Be happy to take a call. Why don't we go to Chris from Red Hook? Chris, go right ahead, Chris.
Hey, County Executive, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I can't complain. I just wanted to know, as a father of 2 kids, I want to make sure everyone across the county has an opportunity that my kids have. How does your budget invest in children this year?
Great question. Thank you, and I appreciate you participating. So the county began a program we call Path to Promise. It was an evaluation of all of the services offered to young people across Dutchess County in an effort to really direct our resources in an effective way. That plan is being implemented next year, first by sort of coordinating the delivery of services. We're bringing in an assistant commissioner in order really to spearhead the entire Path to Promise program. Additionally, we're investing resources in early intervention services, so providing for children preschool, in essence birth to preschool, the support that they need, in particular if they have particular challenges that need to be met. We intend to provide support there. Additionally, we're going to be tracking the work that we do. So through an intuitive web-based platform, all of the service providers across Dutchess County that provide youth services will have the ability to kind of track and monitor both areas of concern, the success of programming, and the resources that we might need to still focus attention on young people. Additionally, this budget commits to investing in what we'll say, refer to as at-risk young people, those who may be living with trauma, mental illness, behavioral concerns, we're making a concerted effort through a partnership with Astor and other service providers to strengthen our response there. The county's been recognized for our work in foster care, and we recognize the value of supporting those in the foster system by this budget will provide the ability for us to support mentorship and other programming to help those in the system, in quotes. And we continue to make investments not only in youth services but in parks and quality of life issues. So I hope that answers your question. I appreciate the call. If you have a question and you're on the line, hit *3, *3. I'd be happy to get you in for a question. You're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. This is our annual telephone town hall. Let me tell you that Dutchess County has enjoyed 24 consecutive months of job growth. In fact, in many of those months, we've led the state in job creation. 2,000 jobs created over the last 12 months with $4.7 billion worth of economic activity underway right now. That's led, in fact, to an increase in assessed valuation countywide. That, combined with our controlling spending at 1.4% annual growth, has enabled us to provide another year of property tax cuts. As I mentioned, this will be the 6th consecutive year of property tax reductions. This particular budget will provide the largest property tax cut in 20 years. Additionally, a reduction in the county's property tax rate. We're going to go to Kim. Kim is in Hopewell, and as we wait for Kim, if you have a question, hit *3. You're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. How are you?
Hi, how are you tonight, Mark?
I am great.
Great. I have a question for you, and my question is, does the county budget support services for those with special needs?
I appreciate that question. It's almost like you know how to get right to my heart, right? So
yeah.
I hope you know that Dutchess County is now nationally recognized for our Think Differently campaign. It's been a concerted effort to provide assistance to those living with developmental and intellectual disabilities. We've done dozens and dozens of activities and events. What I'd offer to you is this particular budget expands the service and support that we provide those living with disabilities. Specifically, we're advancing our efforts to help families in the special education system by advocating for those who need special education support in public education. We're expanding our training programs so that first responders, emergency rooms, medical professionals, even lawyers and judges in the family court system are more aware of how to interact with those living with disabilities. And we're actually opening up an opportunity for young people in our 4-H program. So the county continues to support Cornell Cooperative Extension's 4-H program. It's a wonderful opportunity for young people to learn about agriculture and really get a good sort of mentorship, if you will. Through a partnership with Cornell, we're actually creating opportunities in the 4-H program for those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Now, beyond that, we'll continue to host a lot of our programming, like our Think Differently Dash, our Dream and Do Camp at Dutchess Stadium, and our Think Differently Picnic and Red Carpet movies, all to provide support to those with disabilities and those living with sensory issues. Let me mention that Dutchess County was just recently recognized as the first sensory-sensitive county in America. We're the only county to be recognized for our work to support those on the autism spectrum, and the Think Differently effort now has been adopted by 100 communities across the state of New York and half a dozen across the country, and it's really because of families and businesses and others all across Dutchess County that have embraced Think Differently as a campaign. And if you have any questions regarding the services offered for those living with disabilities, like Think Ahead, our program and college-level experience at Dutchess Community College, or Think Jobs, our effort to provide job opportunities, you can visit thinkdifferently.net. It's an intuitive website available for folks to participate and access information. That's thinkdifferently.net. So you're on the call with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We're calling thousands of residents across Dutchess. This is our annual telephone town hall. Thanks for participating. If you have a question, hit *3 on your phone, and we'll get you into the queue. We're going to go to Carla from Red Hook. Give you 1 second to click on. If you have a question, hit *3. Carla, go right ahead.
Hi, and I just wanted to ask about how you are going to, spearhead the epidemic of opioids. It's not only a nationwide problem, but, of course, Dutchess County has been affected as well.
You're right. In fact, 93 individuals lost their lives last year to drug-related overdoses. We recognize this as the public health crisis really of our lifetime. And you're right, it affects every community across America, but we all have to do something. And first I will tell you that this county treats this as the epidemic that it is. And we recognize addiction is an illness, not a crime. And over the course of the last 8 years, we have really implemented sort of a whole toolbox of services, from crisis intervention training to mobile intervention for those living with mental health or drug addiction issues, to the expansion of medication-assisted treatment, training on Narcan, and, of course, the County Stabilization Center, which is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week facility open to anyone dealing with mental wellness concerns or drug addiction. We partner with Mental Health America and People Inc. And other agencies to provide services countywide. That said, we are doing a lot, but we're not doing enough. So the 2020 budget, thanks to the work of our opioid task force, is really engaged, and the Department of Behavioral and Community Health is engaged in expanding access. So a couple of highlights I'd point to. This budget will implement we will implement in partnership with Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett a mobile unit for the eastern part of the county. So we'll actually be providing our mental health and drug addiction services, at least availability to them and other awareness through a mobile unit that will be dedicated to the Harlem Valley and eastern Dutchess. We'll be doing more outreach to local providers to provide medication-assisted treatment closer to individuals who are dealing with addiction. We also will expand our recovery coach program. Right now, we have a recovery coach that works principally in the county jail and for services that among people that we know. We're actually going to have a recovery coach in our urban centers, so we're sending a recovery coach into the city of Poughkeepsie to be on the street, so to speak. And instead of sort of being confined by offices and government structure, this person is going to be out in the community working directly with individuals that may be homeless, may be dealing with addiction, and living out on the street. We are committed to addressing both the stigma of mental illness and drug addiction and the reality. And while I have you on the phone, everyone, if you know someone who is living with a mental health concern or drug addiction, believe me, they need you to help them. They may not be able to react appropriately. They may not necessarily they may not necessarily be able to voice that they want your help, but they do. And so if you need help helping someone, or you know of somebody living with mental illness or addiction, or you yourself are dealing with it, this county operates our 24/7 helpline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, mental health professionals on the other end of a phone or text. You can call or text 845-485-9700. That's 845-485-9700. You're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. This is our annual telephone town hall. If you have a question, please hit *3 on your phone, and we'll be happy to take your call. Your question. We're calling thousands of people across Dutchess County to participate. We're going to go to Nick from Statsburg. Nick, go right ahead.
Hi there. In your opening remarks, you mentioned climate change. I was wondering how the budget this year is, or what we've been doing in the past in the county, what your budget is, what's new for this year, and do you have a longer game plan in place going forward? Thanks.
Yes, and be happy to answer the question. Thanks for that. So, we recognize climate change as an issue that needs to be addressed both globally, nationally, and locally. This county, the county legislature adopted established a climate smart task force 10 months ago. We charged that task force with moving forward aggressively with both identifying areas where we as a county government could support the reduction of carbon of emissions and try to address climate change both within county government and throughout the county. So over the course of the last 10 months, thanks to efforts to convert some of our vehicle fleet, work to support solar energy and alternative energy creation throughout the county. I'll talk a little bit about that. Over these 10 months, Dutchess County was able to secure a bronze status as a climate smart community. And what that means is that we've sort of hit certain targets to drive down our emissions and reduce our carbon footprint. By doing that, Dutchess County is one of only 9 counties in New York State to achieve that bronze status. We expect to be certified as a climate smart community next year, early next year, because of these additional steps we'll take. And there are only actually 2 communities in Dutchess that have achieved that level of commitment or acknowledgement, if you will, and achievement in the area of climate change. And those are Dutchess County as a government and the town of Red Hook. So we launched 2 years ago, Solarize Dutchess and Energize Dutchess as part of the New York State Solarize and Energize New York program. In both cases, we've been able to facilitate energy efficiency advancements for private sector projects, and Solarize Dutchess has allowed us to support the development of over 100 solar array projects, both for private and public facilities across the county, as we also move forward with a solar array project on county property. Beyond that, next year, we're working with Central Hudson to evaluate Dutchess County's car fleet. We're actually currently monitoring 38 separate vehicles to identify their usage and identify which vehicles in the county fleet we can further convert from traditional fuels to electric vehicles. We also were able to install electric charging stations around the counties, in fact, 4 sponsored by Dutchess County. And beyond that, we've committed to land use policies to drive down carbon emissions. So our Complete Streets effort, where we try to create pedestrian access, our focus on developing in and around village and city centers to direct development there, also has an environmental benefit. And then lastly, I would mention to you the county's commitment to open space and farmland protection. Over the last several years, we have protected over 5,500 acres of open space and farmland, and I've asked the legislature with this budget to commit another $2.5 million to farmland protection. It'll be the largest single-year commitment the county's made to the protection of farmland. I hope that I answered some of your questions. If you are interested in participating in that task force, please reach out to the county. You can reach us at dutchessny.gov. County planning would love to have new folks involved, and we'll keep tabs on the work that they do. Next year, we'll be establishing our emission reduction targets as part of our effort to address climate change. If you have a question, hit *3. You're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We're talking about the 2020 proposed budget. This budget holds the line on spending, only 1.4% rate of growth over last year's or this current year's spending. Provides the 6th consecutive property tax levy reduction, the largest tax cut in 20 years, along with a commitment and investment in infrastructure, response to drug addiction and mental wellness, support for those living with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and advancement of county parks. Right now, we're going to go to Jeff. Jeff in Poughkeepsie. Hold on one second. We have nearly 2,000 participants, so I hope you're not nervous talking to 2,000 people, but nevertheless, Jeff, if you have a question, go right ahead.
How are you doing, County Executive?
I'm great, thank you.
Excellent. The modern economy is rapidly changing, as I'm sure you're aware. What does this budget do, and what is Dutchess County doing to create jobs and prepare people for those jobs in the future?
Good question, and you're right. So for years, Dutchess County's economic development structure was focused in and around a single employer. We've spent the last 8 years changing the way we address economic development, but also working to further diversify the county's economy. What I can tell you, again, over the last 24 months, we have seen consecutive monthly job growth, $4.7 billion worth of economic activity underway. In fact, and just for reference, that's on both sides of the Taconic. Eastern Dutchess is seeing nearly half of that economic growth, which is very important. And we're focused on sort of what we call our innovation ecosystem, connecting the major employers with education and healthcare and smaller employers to create more job opportunities. And we've seen it. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody, that there isn't anyone struggling. We recognize that there are those that are still unemployed or underemployed, but with the job creation underway today and the diversification of our economy, we can point to advancements in technology jobs, healthcare-related jobs, certainly education, construction, and manufacturers. We actually have welcomed 5 new manufacturers to iPark and East Fishkill. There are several other employers that are coming online that we'll be able to announce soon. But we continue to connect those large employers with small employers, all with a goal of creating new job opportunities. And Dutchess has now led the state and nation on many months over the last 2 years in job creation. So we're committed to that. Also, focusing again our development efforts in and around village and city centers, because in order, in particular, to attract young people and to keep young people here in Dutchess, we not only have to be affordable, we not only need the job creation, but we need those centers of community that young people in particular want to live in. So thanks for that question. We appreciate it. If you have a question, hit *3 on your phone. We're going to go to Kenny from East Fishkill. You have a question, and if you do have a question and you're on the line, hit *3. Kenny, go right ahead.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for the opportunity to discuss with you.
Sure.
So, the financial health of governments is, obviously a big topic. So, on your mailing, you talk about like the bond ratings and fund balances and things like that. What does that mean in real terms to the financial health of Dutchess?
I appreciate that question. It's actually one of the nerdy things that I like to pay attention to, and we're very proud of. This county's fiscal condition has never been stronger. So because we have reestablished our fund balance, our savings account, we're providing the ability to invest in the services that people expect, but at the same time have the stability to weather unforeseen expenditures. So basically what that means, right, is that we've held the line on spending, very responsible in the way we manage county taxpayer dollars, 1.4% annual growth. And I've told people, you don't have to believe me, you can take, they don't have to take my word, take the word of Standard & Poor's and the State Comptroller's Office. Dutchess County is recognized for having very limited fiscal stress. That fund balance and the preservation of that savings account allows us to make smart investments and be prepared for the unforeseen. At the same time, controlling spending and seeing some growth in assessed valuation has enabled the county to weather both the economic challenges but also make smart investments in services people expect. All of this combined has enabled us to secure the highest bond rating of any county in the state of New York. For those of you listening and want to be bored to tears, the bond rating is like your credit report. You want a higher number. You have a higher number, the lenders will be more likely to allow you to borrow, and certainly be able to borrow at a lower interest rate. Now imagine a county government that spends millions upon millions of dollars or borrows millions upon millions of dollars for infrastructure, highway, road repair. When we go out to borrow, having a higher bond rating, the highest now in the state of New York, allows us to borrow at a lower interest rate, saving you money. And it's just as an example, we were able this year to refinance a significant amount of debt that we had borrowed some years ago at a higher interest rate. Our bond rating has secured us a lower interest rate that enabled us to save nearly $1 million in debt service that you benefit from. All of that is critically important. Now, I'll tell you that we're at that time of year where everybody has a great idea, and they all want their great idea to be the reason that you'll listen to them. But what I will offer to you is that the protection of that fund balance enables us to ensure that Dutchess County is financially stable. It also allows us to secure that bond rating, which not only saves us money, but is a good projection to employers and others that Dutchess County is a stable bet. That if you're going to risk or take a risk in investing in New York or growing jobs in New York, this county stands out because of that high bond rating, and we're a safe bet. All of that results in good news for Dutchess County taxpayers, and we're grateful for that. And I would mention, as we're on the line, and you're now on the phone with several thousand people across Dutchess County, I would just mention that we can't do any of this without the staff here at county government working hard and without the support of the Dutchess County legislature. And I'd mentioned to you that this legislature this year, in fact, probably had among the most productive legislative sessions in their history. Not only are we financially strong, they adopted term limits, they adopted a new ethics law, comprehensive ethics law, new animal protection laws, and independent reapportionment, right to farm law, so on and so on. So we have a good partnership and a good team working to protect Dutchess County taxpayers. So you're on the call with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We're a part of our annual telephone town hall. I released my budget earlier today. Again, holds the line on spending, makes major investments in services that I know you care about, all while providing the sixth consecutive property tax cut and what will be the largest tax reduction in 20 years. We're going to go to Debbie. Debbie is in Hopewell. Give us 1 second to click on there and get you on the line. If you do have a question, hit *3 on your phone. Debbie, go right ahead.
Hi, Mark. Good evening, and thank you for your dedicated service to our county. We are big supporters of you. Affordability is a top concern for those of us living and working in New York. What is the county doing to reduce our cost of living? I know you said taxes, you mentioned that, and that's also a great thing. But what else are we doing to reduce our cost of living?
No, I appreciate that. You know, this so first, cutting taxes is what we do with what we're able to do within county government, right? And that's obviously helpful to a lot of people. Beyond that, we work with towns, villages, and cities through our shared services efforts and consolidation work. So we've been able to direct $11 million to towns, villages, and cities over the last 7 years that have enabled them to achieve efficiencies and savings. So overall, we've been able to hold the rate of growth for local taxes, which is useful. The problem that that we're always challenged with, of course, is, as you mentioned, we live in New York. New York is probably the highest, not probably, it is the highest combined tax state of any in the country. This state leads the nation in out-migration because of the high cost of living. So we live in that environment, but we are doing what we can to drive down government cost. At the same time, growing the economy helps. So new investment, new jobs, new job opportunities, and further diversifying the economy allows for new revenue, if you will, to come in, and for us to drive down the reliance on property taxes. Our expansion of the tourism industry, for instance, has produced millions of dollars in revenue from people who visit here. Those dollars go to reduce government costs and ultimately for us reduce the property tax. Additionally, I would just mention, and you didn't ask it specifically, but I do want to say this county has been very aggressive in supporting affordable housing opportunities. Some 1,800 units developed in the last 8 years, 200 units of affordable housing underway today. We recognize that it's not enough and that the market itself needs to provide opportunity, but when we can work with developers to create housing opportunities that are lower cost, easier for lower income, seniors, families, etc., we're doing it, and we're probably among the most aggressive, certainly in the region, when it comes to affordable housing. So we're doing all these things as best we can, but we recognize it's very, very expensive in New York, and we'll continue to advocate for relief from Albany as well. Thank you for the call. If you have a question, hit *3. We're going to ask Mario. I know Mario had a question. Give us 1 second as we bring you on. If you're on the call with several thousand residents from across Dutchess, this is County Executive Mark Molinaro. If you have a question, hit *3. Mario, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. County Executive.
Yes, sir.
Stormville, East Fishkill, town of East Fishkill. I'd like to know, how do unfunded state mandates affect the county's taxes, and what can be done to reduce Albany's control over our local government?
Well, we can try to move the whole county to another state. That would make it a little bit easier. But listen, first you should know that this state forces more state spending onto local property taxpayers than any state in the country. So if you lived in Virginia or Colorado or someplace else, the state government would provide the services that in this state county governments are mandated to deliver. 70% of our budget goes to pay for state-mandated programs. 70% of our budget, 70% of the property tax levy, and 70 cents of every dollar we tax you in property taxes goes to pay for a state mandate. As an example, $40 million goes to pay for Medicaid, $30 million for early intervention special education services, $25 million for children-related services, all mandated by Albany. It's not to say that these programs aren't valuable. It's just that at the end of the day, we're taking this massive state programming, right, and forcing it down onto a finite tax base. So there are a couple things that we do. One, we work hard to make mandated costs less as best we can. We try to make the mandates, we try to be more efficient in the delivery of those services, which has enabled us to hold to 1.4% annual growth. And, of course, we continue to advocate for mandate relief. But we'll continue to do it as best we can. I just offer to you that within that context of those state mandates, we're still holding the line on spending and able to provide the 6th consecutive property tax cut. So we're very happy about that. If you have a question, hit *3 on your phone. *3 on your phone. Happy to take a question. We're going to go to Kathy in the town of Poughkeepsie. Kathy, go right ahead.
Good evening, Mr. County Executive.
Mark works. Just Mark.
Okay, Mark. First of all, I just want to say kudos for passing the pet registry laws. Now I want to know, how do we make them statewide?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. And secondly, housing for senior citizens.
Yeah.
Rents are going ballistic in this county and in most of the state.
Right.
I personally, I make a little too much money to go for any of the subsidized housing, but I'm to the point now, I've been in the same unit now for 5 years, and I'm facing the fact that I can't afford these increases anymore. What are the chances of getting into the rent stabilization program where either landlords would just have to be, only be able to raise rents a certain amount, or adopt a senior citizen where after age 65, you could only charge 30% of someone's income?
So let me address your question as well as best I can. First, thank you regarding the animal abuse laws. I give great credit to Chairman Greg Pulver, who led the effort to adopt the animal abuse registry and the tethering law. As to how we make them statewide, it's a great question. I will say this though: dozens of years ago, Dutchess County was one of the counties that adopted a Clean Indoor Air Act. In fact, I helped write the law that ultimately made it no longer possible to smoke in public facilities. When Dutchess County adopted that Clean Indoor Air Act, enough counties in the state had acted that the state legislature finally moved to do it statewide. So sometimes the more we get counties involved, and there are several in the region that have adopted these laws, we can get to the attention of Albany. And I think that the best way to make that statewide is to get a handful of counties across the state, like Nassau, Suffolk, Orange already has, and others, to implement those kind of reforms. And then Albany, I think, would likely move to adopt it statewide. And we're going to advocate for that and work to bring that about. As far as affordable housing, I talked a little bit about it, but let me also give you sort of the context, right? We spent generations as a county subdividing. Suburban subdivisions was the way we used to handle housing. And what's happened, of course, is our housing stock is very old. So we have homes that, frankly, young people and seniors can't transition into. A 2,500 square foot home on a third of an acre. So we've been working aggressively to create village and hamlet-style housing in the city of Poughkeepsie, and Beacon, and Pleasant Valley, and other places. That kind of development, that mixed-use development, will create market-rate housing, which, by the way, we recognize is not affordable to those at the lowest end of the income scale, but that relieves the pressure, right? So if you can deal with the sort of the private, the market level housing and create an opportunity for folks who can afford to move in, that then creates the ability for developers to afford to develop affordable housing options. So we work with private developers as they come forward with maybe a market rate to make sure they're also addressing some of the need to address affordable housing. As I said, right now 200 units are under construction. These are affordable housing units of all income backgrounds. So based on a sliding scale, you may qualify. But the most effective way for us to drive down the cost of housing is to have different, more diverse housing, which has been our focus in and around the village and city centers. And that will relieve some of the pent-up pressure that will ultimately drive down rental rates and create availability for affordable housing options. And I'm sorry, the affordable, you asked about the rent stabilization. So first, New York State adopted this law. Not every property or community qualifies. It's a very small slice of rental units that would qualify within the rent stabilization. So every municipality has the right to opt in after they've done an analysis. So the city of Poughkeepsie or Beacon can do their analysis. If they identify that enough of the housing falls within this very small slice of construction, they're allowed to opt in. But what's more important and better about the law, I think, is that it does, in fact, limit the rates that you can that any landlord can increase rental rates. That's universal. That is not specific. It also provides some protection for those who might have issues in accessing housing or paying their rent. And it also, by the way, prohibits source of income background checks, so that you can't deny somebody a housing simply because they might live on some form of subsidy. That, I think, will also provide new opportunities for housing availability that's more affordable. So I know it's a big challenge. Believe me, I get it. I grew up on food stamps. We understand the challenge really well. We're trying to diversify the housing stock to create new affordable housing opportunities. So with that, listen, you're on the call with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We're calling thousands of people across Dutchess County. This is our annual telephone town hall. We're going to go to Robert in Clinton. Robert, hold on as we click on. If you have a question, hit *3 on your phone. We're going to do this for a few more minutes. We don't want to keep you all night, but we'd love to get as many questions in as we can. Hit *3 on the phone. Robert, how are you?
I'm fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. My question was, there were two questions. I thought they would be repeated to you. The largest tax cut in 20 years, what percentage was that?
And the second question, so we can...
The second question is, in my experience, tax cuts come at the expense of the less favored people, poor people. And so how are you, who's being cut out in order to afford this tax cut?
Sure. I appreciate it. First, as I said, we're not reducing spending. We're actually investing more. And I will tell you that our focus, and if you get a chance, not that I want to tell you to read one article or another, but you should look at the media reports. In fact, I think the Poughkeepsie Journal has already gotten the budget report out online. We talk very specifically about assisting those in need. And in fact, our expansion of services for those who are struggling is noteworthy in our opinion, but listen, we get it. So whether you're living in foster care or you're living on temporary assistance, the county has found ways to expand the reach, and we're not cutting back on those services. We are not. There is no reduction in that commitment at all, and we'll meet the expectation that residents have. So please know that this is not at the expense of someone else. Secondly, there are two things. The largest tax cut relates to the levy. This is a $1 million reduction plus a $1 million reduction in the county's tax levy. That is the largest total amount reduction in the amount of funds we collect from you. So $1 million less will be collected from you. This also represents a 5% reduction in the county tax rate, and that's obviously the multiplier, right? That's the per thousand rate that we use to assess, to collect the bill. So $1 million reduction in the tax levy, that's the largest cut in county taxes. A 5% reduction in the tax rate, that is a result of holding the line on spending plus assessed valuation growth, which gets, by the way, to your second question as well. We have seen an expansion in the county's tax base that allows us to lower the tax rate and continue to invest in services. At the same time, we are projecting a significant growth in sales tax and hotel and motel tax. So those are economically sensitive revenue streams, but they are the result of people coming into the county and spending money. That enables us to continue to invest. So we can reduce the property tax rate and levy while generating additional revenue through sales tax and hotel motel tax, which allows us to make the investments in the services that I think you would be most concerned about and some of the things I've talked about this evening. Very sensitive to the fact that government has to be available and of help to those in need. In fact, it is 70% of what we do here in county government. So with that, if you have any other questions, hit *3 on your phone. We're going to go to Henry from Poughkeepsie. Henry from Poughkeepsie, feel free, jump right on in. This is County Executive Mark Molinaro.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
I can.
Great, thank you, sir. I just had a question about climate change. It's an issue that so many people are talking about, and it can be kind of frightening and concerning, and I'm just wondering what the county is doing about climate change and to combat the climate crisis.
That's a good question that I did address a little bit earlier, but I'll say quickly the county has been designated a bronze-level climate-smart community, which means that we have aggressively addressed or continue to aggressively address carbon emissions throughout the county and reliance on fossil fuels. I won't get into the finest of details, but to tell you that next year we'll be setting emission reduction targets in order to achieve climate smart status. We're working to further diversify the county's vehicle fleet with electric vehicles as an alternative. So we're doing a lot. We're recognized as only one of 9 counties in the state of New York as a climate smart community, and only 2 in Dutchess County and the town of Red Hook. So I hope that kind of answered your question. Reminds you a little bit about what we've done. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a call, hit *3. If you have a question, hit *3. on your phone. You're on the call with County Executive Mark Molinaro. We're going to go to Maria in Stormville, and be happy to talk with you. Give us 1 second while we get you live on the call, if you're still with us.
Yes, I am here with you. Hello?
How are you? Hello.
I'm fine. How you doing, Mr. Molinari?
I'm fine. You call me Mark. You sound like my great-grandmother.
I came from North Italy for 3 years. And I tell you, there are so many Molinari there. They're so happy. They have your name spread all over there in Italy. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll run for
I
president.
came here many years ago, 62. But over there are 3-4 family Molinari. I'm so proud to hear it. Your name over here that I see you. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I'm very enthusiastic, and I'm so nervous. Yeah. So I live here in Stormville, and I want to question you. I don't know. I'm widowed now, and I don't know. I only think about. Do you think who is like a widow like me, or the tax prices go down on a property? You think can be happen this in the future?
Well, I want to bring you happiness in the future, but you bring up a good point, and that is the issue of taxation. We talked a little bit about it again. The county government is trying to shrink and reduce our tax levy. Again, this will be the 6th year we're cutting the county tax levy. But I recognize that county government is a very small amount of what is your property tax bill. So even though county government and even your town government will cut its taxes, mostly because of school taxes, you may not see a total reduction in your bill. So one of the things that we have to keep doing is asking Albany to address how they fund education in a way of driving down local school property taxes. But I promise you, and all of the Molinaris from Italy, as best I can, we're going to continue to hold the line on spending and drive down the county's property taxes as best we can. So I hope that the little bit of relief that we're able to provide next year might be some good news for you. But it was a pleasure to hear from you. And I appreciate the question. We're going to go to Colleen from Hopewell. You have a question, feel free, jump on in. If you have a question, it's star 3 on your phone. We're going to do this for a few more minutes, and then I'll be happy to follow up with you. But Colleen, go right ahead.
Hi, Mr. Executive. Thanks so much for taking my call, and thank you and your family for the dedication to making Dutchess County a great place to live and raise our families.
Thank you.
My question is, how does the budget change use policy to preserve more open space for walkers, hikers, and riders?
It's a good question. It's been something that the county, I think, should be credited for over the years. So Dutchess County created our Open Space and Farmland Protection Program some years ago. We have, over these last several years, been able to protect over 5,000 acres of active farmland and open space. It's been a great achievement that has helped to preserve farming as an industry and ensure open space and natural resources are protected. With the 2020 budget, I am sending to the legislature a $2.5 million bonding request to continue that open space protection program. It'll be the largest single-year commitment to farmland protection in our county's history, and we expect to be able to preserve hundreds, if not thousands, of more acres of land with that. Additionally, we know the value of parks, and the county continues to invest in our parks. This year, we move forward with what is the largest expansion of county parks in 50 years. That is the completion of the Harlem Valley Rail Trail connecting into Columbia County, improvements at Quiet Cove and Bowdoin Park, but also the purchase of Lake Walton in East Fishkill. The Lake Walton Preserve will be a universally accessible passive park, trails, hiking and biking trails, access to viewing points, etc. And we are also acquiring the former CSX rail beds in and around the town and city of Poughkeepsie, which will enable us to expand on the Dutchess Rail Trail and build an urban trail system that will connect properties like the former Hudson River Psych Center into the city of Poughkeepsie and destination points there, back to Marist College and the Hudson River. So we really value the county's park system. We believe in supporting open space and farmland protection, and we think that the rail trails, we know the rail trails have been significant advancements and enhancements in and for county residents. I hope that answers your question. If you have a question, it's *3 on your phone. You're on the line with County Executive Mark Molinaro. This is our annual telephone town hall regarding our 2020 county budget. I think we're going to go to Steve from Pleasant Valley. Steve, if you have a question, jump right on in.
Okay, Mark, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can. Okay, good. It's my understanding that of the 6 counties in the Mid-Hudson library system, only Dutchess County does not have a line item in its budget for library aid. Now, has this changed in this budget, or are you continuing to zero out library aid? Because if you are, I would suggest that a $300,000 increase in the tax levy, which is like 0.285%, would raise the projected tax rate per thousand from $3.27 to $3.28, gives you still better than a 5% reduction, and it would go a long way to help the libraries in this county.
Well, first, we haven't zeroed out library aid. We just do it differently, and we changed this some years ago. In 2013, we implemented what is our agency partnership grant program. We also, of course, fund library programming through our Think Differently initiative. We just believe, and this has been our approach, we don't believe in lining out specific recipients of dollars. We believe that everybody who receives aid from Dutchess County ought to either simply ask for it and then be able to measure individually that success, and libraries have done that through our agency partnership grant program, or we open it up to requests for proposals so that individuals can compete. Now, you are correct, there are some counties that just put a line item that says, here, libraries in the budget. We actually fund our libraries to some degree through the agency partnership grant program and our Think Differently initiative, which does provide assistance to libraries. It was something we changed some years ago because the way it works, and quite frankly, the way it works in some other counties is agencies that knew or had political support in the legislature got funding, and agencies or entities that didn't. And we wanted to end sort of the partisan or at least the political decision-making, and rather do or make those kind of commitments in a way that we could measure success and be a part of monitoring our expenditures. Now, I will say Dutchess Reads has been a great partnership between the libraries and Dutchess County government, and we have put money in the budget to fund that as part of our programming in partnership with county libraries. We're always opening to reconsider how we do it, but I'll just tell you that having once served in the county legislature and serving as chairman of the budget committee, there's always this competition among legislators to line item in or line item out funding for entities. And I guess the last thing I would say to you, just as an aside, in particular libraries that are taxing jurisdictions, their own districts, I have a concern that we shouldn't be taxing people to give money to other taxing jurisdictions. We'd rather achieve that through identifying a goal like Dutchess Reads, enhancing literacy, and working with districts to provide that service. And if it means we've got to put money to provide that service in a district, fine. But if a library district is able to tax its own citizens, and several of them in Dutchess County do, we're just hesitant to add to the county's tax levy in order to achieve the same goal. I'd rather achieve that through contract and relationship with libraries. That said, I will tell you it's not my interest to raise taxes this year. but I think that we have a strong relationship, and we'll continue to explore ways to invest in libraries. I know the value, having been a village mayor where the library was in our village hall. I know that they're centers of community. We're happy to support financial literacy. We're happy to support literacy, English as a second language training. We're happy to support technology in libraries, and we just do it differently than those other counties do. And I'd like to think that we're equally successful, if not perhaps slightly more so. That said, we have been on the phone for an hour. I appreciate you listening in. We've called thousands of your neighbors. I'm very grateful that you would participate in this annual telephone town hall. What I want to offer to you is if you're on the line and still have a question we didn't get to, the folks who are taking those calls will get you a response to your questions. Get you a response to those questions. Or you can visit dutchessny.gov. dutchessny.gov, and feel free to reach out to us with a question or call our offices at 845-486-2000. That's 845-486-2000. This is County Executive Mark Molinaro. You can view all of our budget documents at that county website, and we're happy to respond to any question we didn't get to this evening. Thanks very much. Enjoy the evening. Be safe. If you have children, be safe on Halloween tomorrow. It'll be a little rainy. Pay attention to those kids that sometimes may not be able to voice what they're looking for, may seem a little shy. They may be a kid on the autism spectrum or living with some intellectual or developmental disability. Reach out and be a good neighbor. I know that Dutchess County residents are, and have a good evening. Thanks very much.